Welcome to another top 10 video I have. Well, this one is going to be with the recent passing with today announcing the passing of Steve Dillion, the legendary comic artist who's known for drawing books like Punisher, Preacher. He drew some issues of Hellblazer. He did Thunderbolts. With his passing, it's like, who's going to take over as the artist for the Punisher, per se? Well, I do have a few suggestions who could do that. Yes. Now these are guys who have drawn Punisher in the past, and I wanted to be sure I wanted to pick people who actually are experienced drawing the Punisher, not people who have drawn the Punisher who had never drawn a Punisher before at all. But if people want to pick people, if people want to do a similar list to this one, go right ahead. I'm a longtime fan of Punisher. I've been a fan of him ever since I've been a fan of him for the past 12 years. He's my favorite anti-hero of all time. And I really enjoy reading his stories. And if you want to have a character who kills people, there you go. Oh, I almost forgot about this one. I'm just taking care of something here. There was one. Okay, there's one particular artist I wanted to include in here. I forgot to include this one, but I had to include this one. Sorry about this. I just thought of another artist, and I wanted to put him on the list. Well, he may not make the top 10, but I want to at least consider him. Okay, now, first two are honorable mentions. They could not make the list, but I want to at least include them. First one is John Romita Jr., who is the co-creator of The Punisher, who co-created with Jerry Conway back in the 70s. Now, Romita Jr. has done The Punisher before. As a matter of fact, if you read the series, if you read the Warzone series, Romita Jr. drew a good chunk of that series. And even though the guy is currently doing All-Star Batman, I would think that Marvel would ask him to come back to do at least maybe one issue of The Punisher, or at least a short story with The Punisher. I don't see why not. Let's see. I just want to take a look here. What his how many issues he drew of the series of War. Well, he did the first 8 issues of the Warzone series. I don't think he did anything more with the Punisher, well, aside from his first appearance, obviously, but for Punisher series-wise, even though he was original artist Punisher Warzone, but I do think, though, Romita Jr. would be a good choice to do at least one issue of Punisher. Go create a character, why not? Another honorable mention I want to at least throw in there, and this is the artist who did the Punisher, the Trial of the Punisher miniseries, Mark Guggenheim. Great miniseries, highly recommend it. Linan Liu, I'm sorry if I mispronounced your name. I love your artwork for Trial of the Punisher, and I do think this is one particular artist who I think should make a comeback to the book. I don't see why not. There's nothing that says artist cannot. No. I mean, aside from, let's see here. Just trying to look on Wikipedia here. Here we go. Aside from he's a Filipino artist, but I want to at least throw him in there. He's noteworthy for doing some issues of Wolverine, but he did do the Trial of the Punisher miniseries. I just had to conclude it. All right. Now let's move on to 10. First up is Michael Longcomb. I think that's how you pronounce this guy's name. This is a guy who worked on Punisher Volume 5. The volume that started in 2001. He was actually no wait. He was not the artist for that. He was actually the artist for the Punisher Max stuff. I definitely think he would work, especially since the book is under parental advisory. I don't see why not. I mean, he's a Canadian artist, and I don't see why I can't do it. Jerome Arpenia, he's number 9. He was the original artist for Rick Remender's run on the Punisher. I thought his artwork was actually pretty good. He's one of my other favorite artists, along with Steve Dillion for the Punisher, so I don't see why not. Number 8 is Marco Kellicino. I think that's how you pronounce this guy's name. Okay, he was the artist for Greg Rucka's run on Punisher. This was 2 volumes before the current one. He was the artist for that, and he was a very good artist for that. It gave it more of a dark tone, which is simply what Punisher needs. I don't see why not. Alright, he's number 8. Number 7 is Mitch Gardens. I'm thinking that's how you pronounce this guy's name. He was the artist on Emerson's run on the previous volume Punisher, so nothing says this guy can't come back. So, and for people who actually read that volume, people who had never read Punisher, I never heard any complaints by his artwork, so I don't see why this guy can't come back. He drew the Punisher before, so why not? Next, I had to include this guy on here. If I didn't, it would disrespect the guy, because this guy drew 2 miniseries of Punisher. The co-creator of Swamp Thing, Bernie Wrightson. He also co-created Deacon Blackfire for Batman. I definitely think this guy is a good choice to do Punisher. If not do the interior artwork, if he can't do the interior work, at least do the covers, because this guy knows how to draw covers. So at least you know how to draw your eye to a cover. So Bernie Wrightson, he's my number 6. I'm sorry if you're watching this, Bernie. In the top 10 list. It's just how I see it. Number 5, Derek Robertson. This guy, he has drawn Punisher before. He did, let's see, I'm trying to look for him. No, he didn't do that one. Not that one either. I'm trying to look for which one he did do. Okay, Derek Robinson was the artist for Punisher Volume 5. I don't see why not. Yeah, he was a good. He's definitely a good artist. So I definitely think he would do it. Number 4, Tim Broadstreet, a guy who did a bunch of covers for Punisher, and I definitely think he can do interior art, because I'm looking at Wikipedia and I'm seeing Tim Broadstreet's artwork for the cover of issue 32 of Punisher Volume 5, and it's a very good looking cover, and he has drawn in. I think he's drawn interiors, if I'm not mistaken. Let's see. He has drawn interiors. He's never done interiors for a Punisher book, but he's noteworthy for doing covers. He did the cover for 2 Punisher volumes. So if he's another artist, if you can't get him to do the interior artwork, have him do the covers. I mean, the guy does do gorgeous covers like Tim Broadstreet does. So why not? All right. Next one is Carmine Di Guy and Domenico. I think that's how you pronounce this guy's name. He did the Punisher War. He did the third volume of Punisher War Zone, which was the volume that came right after that concluded Greg Rucka's run on the Punisher. Never heard any complaints about this guy's artwork when he draws the Punisher. I know there was some complaints about him. People didn't like his style for Flash, but I think he could come back. I mean, I didn't see that he was listed as the artist for the next upcoming arc for Flash, so I don't see why not. It's just a distinct possibility for this guy, but I want to at least include him. Number 2, and this guy drew the original volume for Punishers back in '86. He drew 4 of the 5 issues of the 1986 miniseries. Excuse me, for Punisher. Mike Zack. I made sure I included this guy on my list. Even if he didn't make number 1, I want to at least get close to that, because this was the guy who drew the very first ever Punisher, self-titled Punisher comic back in 1986. I mean, he may not have been drawing the first artist for the Punisher ongoing book, but he was the original artist for the 5-issue volume, which I believe is collected in a trade, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, it's printed a few times. Let's see here. It was printed in a trade called Circle of Blood. Yeah, there was actually a single hardcover called Circle of Blood. That's actually the trade's collected. It's also collected in Essential Punisher Volume 1. So, if you want to see this guy's artwork, the guy does know how to draw the Punisher, and he draws a very intimidating cover for the first volume Punisher. And I definitely think this guy could do it. I think he draws Punisher a little bit bulky, but I had to include him, because he worked with Stephen Grant on the original volume Punisher, so I just had to include him as my number 2. But even if he couldn't make number 1, I want to make sure he was on the list. Alright, and last but not least, and some of you might recognize the guy as the original artist for The Walking Dead, Tony Moore. He was one of the artists on Rick Remender's run for Punisher, and I definitely do. This guy can definitely still do Punisher, even though he didn't do much Punisher. He did from the info I got from him, he did a majority, about almost half of Rick Remender's run on Punisher Volume 7. He did almost 10 issues. So I definitely do think this guy can definitely still do it. But the thing is, when people think of Tony Moore nowadays, what's the first thing that comes to mind? The Walking Dead. Yeah, he was the original artist for it, but he only stayed on for 6 issues and left the book. I don't think he came back to the book. I'm not sure if he did or not. I don't think he did. Well, he did come back first, but he's not the cover art. Well, he's not the cover artist anymore. No, he was the original artist for the book, but this guy can definitely draw gore. And the guy knows how to draw a Punisher. Even though he did not many issues of a Rick Remender's run, but he did do a good job at it. He did issues, this is Rick Remender's run, he did issues 11 to 14, 16, 19, and 20. That is, that's 7 issues. So I definitely do think that this guy could definitely still do Punisher. I don't think he's currently doing anything, not that I can think of, no. Like some of the most recent work this guy has done. I mean, he's also done Ghost Rider, he's done Deadpool, he's done The Goon. Let's see, he did one of the one-shots for Masters of Evil, on Cons of Evil. He did Battle Pope. He's done. He was also the original artist on Rick Remender's Venom run, and this guy and of his Venom run he did. Let's see, I think it's 6. He did 6 issues of that run, but the guy is a good artist, and I do highly recommend that he actually do it. And Becky Cohen, if you're watching this, I do enjoy your run for Punisher. I really do, and I do have to ask, if you are watching this, how many issues did he get to before he passed away unexpectedly? Because the most recent issue that's come out for the Punisher is... Okay, I just want to make sure I get this right. The most recent issue of the Punisher that's come out for this current volume is... I really want to make sure I get this right. The most recent issue that's come out is issue 6. Yes. Issue 6 is the most recent issue that's come out for this current volume for Punisher. I know that Jerry Conway is going to do the annual. I'm very happy. I'm looking forward to when that annual comes out. But if Tony Moore wants to come back and do Punisher, I don't think anybody have a problem with it. I mean, yeah, people are fans of his Walking Dead issues, but I actually do enjoy the guy's work. And I mean, yeah, he's one of the several artists that I've recommended to work with on his run for Punisher and Venom, and of course he worked on Deadpool. Well, he worked on the, not the current volume, he worked on the first 6 issues of the previous volume of the series. The one that Gary Duncan started. But, yeah. But those are my top 10 artists who I would choose, who I think could take over from Steve Dillion. Because I know the guy just passed away today. But I know for Marvel, they're kind of scrambling, trying to figure out who would take over for him. But these are just suggestions. These are just suggestions, not definite choices. These are suggestions. If Becky Cohen wants to pick one of these artists, go right ahead. I've got no problem with it. If anybody else wants to put together their own version of a top 10, go right ahead. Sorry about that. That's just a bag on my bed. Go right ahead. And that's it for this video. Yeah, that's it for this video. There are probably more top 10s coming probably soon, but not today because this is the only one I wanted to do. But because of the passing, now I've always enjoyed Steve Dillion's artwork. I've been a fan of his for the past several years. I've read a good majority of his work. I own one piece of his work. I own the first issue of the current volume of Punisher. I actually got it the week it came. I got it like around this. It came out the week of Free Comic Day. I actually purchased it on Free Comic Book Day. I was hoping to meet the guy. Really, I really wanted to meet Steve Dillion and have him basically sign that book and ask him about what it was like with Garth Ennis and Daniel Way. I would have loved to ask him like what's it like to work with these writers, and like ask him how much he enjoyed drawing the Punisher. Because from what I can tell for Steve Dillion, the Punisher is his favorite character to draw. That's just my opinion. And for a lot of people consider him to be the greatest Punisher artist of all time. I kind of think that too. I think he's one of the best ones. Definitely. No disrespect to the other artists, but he is definitely one of the best ones, and he knows how to draw the Punisher really well. Okay? So, I'll see you all in my next video. Okay? Bye.